My friends, it's been a while since I've done an episode like this. It's gonna be pretty dope. I'm gonna be talking about 5 gate-kept secrets from the audio industry and from audio pros and whatnot. And a lot of you might be like, oh yeah, here goes another video like this. But as somebody that's actually in LA, that is friends with these people, spends time with these people, parties with these people, knows these people's families, our kids play together, I'm gonna give you guys the real. So as you already know, hi, Miami, director of JST. We sell plugins, awesome plugins. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, all that. Let's get that out the way. My transition game's still crazy. All right, we got past that part. Let's get into this episode. No more long intros, let's run it. Number 1, something I want to talk about is there are not many seats left at the table. Think of this like King Arthur's table, right? When it comes to mixing engineers, there are many that we have talked about over the last 20 some odd years that are still at the top, still holding it down for everyone else. Not just 20 years, 30 years, it goes further than that. Like how long have we been talking about Chris Lord-Alge, Andrew Sheps, Tony Maserati, Manny Marroquin, the list goes on, even Joey Sturgis. That's been, let's see, 15 years, almost 20. Yeah, Joey's almost been there for 20 years too. Like this list continues to go where there's these people at the top and there's people down here that are trying to get to that point. And I bring this up not to discourage people. I just think it's an important thing to remember when you are focusing your entire career on doing nothing but being a mixing engineer and not thinking about being a recording engineer or a music producer or possibly being in a band or a songwriter. You really start to narrow the edge that you have to cut through and showcase your talents in different ways in the field that you're in. Think of the people that managed to kind of slip through the cracks in years of late. We had Nolly, but Nolly's a bass player for Periphery. He wasn't just a mixing engineer. The other day, Colin Britton, awesome producer, awesome mixer, was playing drums for Linkin Park. It's not a thing where these people are dedicated to just being mixing engineers, and I think that that train has kind of left the building. You have to wear multiple hats. And even if you do wear multiple hats, these people at the top, they're not going anywhere. They're still working on albums. They're still putting out the best stuff. So you really gotta separate yourself from these people to do that. And there's not a lot of slots. You're gonna see the same names on the big albums time and time again. What are you gonna do to make yourself different from that group of people? So that's just one, because I don't hear a lot of people talk about it. And maybe some of you guys knew that, or you've thought about it before. The Grammy nomination board has been very similar through time. Like the people on the list for the Grammys are still the people on the list for the Grammys. The people that do what it's the same thing. How are you gonna squeeze through? I'm trying to figure it out too. I just wanted to bring it to your guys' attention. Let's go to number 2. I'm gonna get a lot of blowback for this one, but I'm gonna say it because it's the genuine truth. Pro mixers are not mixing albums anymore. And what do I mean by that? Like when you pay a pro mixer to work on your album these days, you're not paying for that mixer to actually mix your thing. What you're paying for is for their sound. There's been many years that they've taken a unique approach to create and craft a sound, and just like any other business, they have to rise the ranks to the top and have to entrust some of that to other people. So you have other people that are overlooking to make sure that that happens. And there's nothing wrong with that, because how many songs can one person do? It's impossible, right? But we all want that person doing our thing, and there's just not enough time in the day. But when you are taking your money and you're sending it off to mixing engineers that are of a certain esteem level, that have a team, yeah, they're not mixing those albums for you. What is most likely happening is somebody is taking those, putting those into a template to get the sound as close to their ears think that it sounds like what that person wants to hear. And that person's coming along at the end of it, just double checking, making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And then they're going to be the determining people to decide whether or not it gets to pass, which I don't think is that much different, but just kind of understand if you sat there and saved up your whole life savings and you're like, oh, like it's gonna be touched, like this person is gonna care about this. Just kind of see how big they are and how busy their schedule is, and just think about that the next time that you do it. Once again, this is not meant to be some big controversial thing. I just know a lot of people don't realize this, and I just want to, share the information. So that's number 2. Number 3, more controversial stuff. Mixing is one of the least important jobs in audio. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, the job of mixing, when somebody listens to a song, when we hear a song, do we as mixers usually think, oh, the mix on this is great? Yes, we do. But what do average people think? people care about the songwriting and they care about the production of it. Like, that is the first things that come to their mind. When you get to a certain mixing level, the recording engineers are the unsung heroes. And there's a lot of tools that you can use to have better recordings that you send off to mixers or whatever. But think of this, when a pro mixing engineer gets a recording session to start mixing, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, that person's recording sounds better than the mixes that we tend to do, because those people have been doing it so long, and a lot of their tracking has to do with using hardware on the way in. It already sounds great before anything's even happened. And that's one thing that I want people to think about when they're recording. What's that saying? Mix like there's no mastering, record like there's no mixing, like that kind of a thing. Yeah, the recording engineers are the unsung heroes and the songwriters. So the real reason I want to bring this up is because mixing through plugins and the way that we have templates now, it is becoming easier and easier. We have single plugins that will carry your entire chain that you need, like a vocal chain, for example. Just to prove my point, I'm gonna sing into this lav mic right now, and then we're gonna throw a plugin on it. She's not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white, not quite either day or night. She's perfectly misaligned. All right, now let's run that through a plugin. She's not acid nor alkaline, caught between black and white, not quite either day or night. She's perfectly misaligned. And that's one single plugin. I wasn't going through a compressor, a fancy microphone, any of that. And we just ran my voice through something like that. Do you see how easy mixing has become? By the way, if you guys actually want to hear, I did do a full Sleep Token cover. It's over on the Joey Sturgis Tones page on Instagram. It's kind of awesome. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, follow me at Still Evaluating. I do tons of JST related stuff all the time. It's a lot of fun, and I like to showcase our products. And if you didn't know, that plugin was Howard Benson Vocals, and it's in the description below. But do you kind of get the idea of what I'm talking about now? Mixing is not hard to do. The tools for that have become increasingly easier and easier. Now, the tools for recording, that is a whole nother thing on a technical level. And for editing, there's things that make it a little easier to edit, but the skill that's involved there is really difficult too. And songwriting, the hardest of them all. So you obviously need tools to be able to mix, but if you're focusing your whole life on just being a mixing engineer, there's a million people that can kind of do the same thing you're doing and use the same presets that you're using. What else do you have in your repertoire that can elevate you above those other people? So that's number 3. Number 4, the money is drying up in mixing. What do I mean by that? The people at the top, like I was talking about before earlier, have almost priced themselves out of being able to work on projects at this point, because albums aren't making the money that they used to, and people have gotten accustomed to a certain amount of money being made. So if you get to that point, let's say you rise the ranks and you're at the top to the point that you need a team, and that team exists now you have to feed that team. But how are you going to feed that team when labels aren't paying the same amount of money for albums? You're not going to be able to work as much, or you're going to have to lower your rates or take less money, or get all those people to agree to take less money, which then allows people at the bottom, which I was talking about earlier, finding your little way in, saying, hey, oh, that person wants $50,000 for that album, I'll do it for 10. He'll do it for 10, I'll do it for 5. It just becomes a race to the bottom. And then what happens? You start down there, and then you start trying to build up to be where they are, and the cycle repeats. I bring that up because when I was young, I was like, I want to be like Chris Lord-Alge, I want to be like Andy Wallace, I want to be like Joey Sturgis, I want to be like all these people. But then I realized, like, that money that you're looking for to be able to survive isn't going to just work from doing that thing. And if it is, those guys work harder than you could ever imagine. I think there was a period of years that Joey never took a vacation. He never stopped recording for a single day, and he gets like the fruits of his labor now. But I'm around these people a lot, in and out of the studio. Those people, I haven't seen them going out often. I don't see them going out to dinners or going out on dates or enjoying their lives or spending a ton of time with their family. And that's something to realize on the career path that you're on. So let's talk about it. Let's keep it real. Yeah, this isn't my typical bubbly episode. I know, like, if you guys were like, oh, he's gonna show us 5 different EQ moves that that are gonna make my mix 10 million times better. We'll save that for another episode, and I've done that video before. Link it here. We can watch it. And number 5, this isn't so much gatekept, but I want to throw it in there anyways because I think it's important. There is no end game in mixing. You're going to do it now and forever. If that is something you dedicate your life to, it doesn't stop. There is no 401k plan. There is no pension plan. Like, your royalties and the money you make off of this, you need to be investing it to save for later on in your life, because it's not going to be around forever. And AI is starting to push even further. You know what? That'll be number 5, because that's actually a thing. Producers, top producers now, are using AI to help assist them with production on songs. I know this to be fact. So for the people here that decide, hey, I don't actually want to use AI, it feels artificial, it feels like this, I'd rather go listen to this, there's a chance that those people are using AI too. I didn't always love the idea of AI, but I've seen its capabilities, and I do think that it's a very useful thing when you're stuck on something and might want to do a bridge or might want to add some production things you don't have the ability to write on your own. Maybe you don't have the chord knowledge to do what you're trying to do. It's a useful tool in that sense. So that's just my take on it. But yeah, there's 5 or 6 gatekept secrets that people are not talking about that much, and I think that they're really important to know if you're getting into the world of mixing or if you're sending your stuff off to people. And hopefully this is not to discourage you, but more to open your eyes and to send you on a path where you're going to try and be one step better than you were before, to become something more than just a mixing engineer or just a recording engineer. Like, you have to wear many hats to get to the point of where you want to be if you want to turn this into your full-time job. So figured it was time for one of these episodes. We haven't done something like this in a while. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. You only have to do it one time, and tap that bell for notification, so when a video drops, you know the location. Until next time, my friends, I will catch you later.